Want to welcome you guys back to another episode of Pistons Talk Podcast presented by FanDuel. Hope you guys are having what day is it? I don't even know. Monday, yeah, it kind of tells me what kind of weekend I had. I don't even know what day it is. It's Monday night. What a game. Pistons just got done playing the Boston Celtics. We're going to get into our post-game show, go over some post-game notes, and then open up the show to comments and questions. Overall thoughts, kind of an open forum if you guys have never been a part of these post game shows, but I would like to assume we're 41 games in. You've been a part of these post game podcasts and these post game shows. So let's get into it. Boston got off to a really quick start. It was 16-8 in this first quarter. JB takes a timeout. And Jalen Duren, like you have to just give Duren so much credit in this one. He had 3 straight possessions, 3 straight baskets, and Cade was looking for him often. He also put the ball on the floor and was able to score and kind of like got the Pistons back into this game where the Boston Celtics and the Detroit Pistons were just kind of exchanging baskets, going back and forth. A little bit later in this first quarter, Stewart and Jaylen Brown mix it up again. I mean, that is nothing new with those two. It was a really weird play. Jaylen Brown grabbed his arm and Stu pushed him, double technical, which I don't agree with, but I understand why the officials give players double technical. Just didn't want the game being that physical. But I think the officiating wasn't the worst officiating game I've seen this year, but it was up there. I mean, there were a lot of blown calls on both sides with this officiating crew tonight. But Stu did his thing, led the Pistons in scoring in the first quarter with 6 points, and it was just balanced scoring. This was a game where Cade didn't really shoot the ball the best. Jaylen Brown was guarding him for a majority of the night, and he kind of made it known that, hey, I'm guarding Cade tonight when Jordan Walsh has guarded him the 3 previous matchups. But okay, I guess. Celtics did get a little bit of a lead. It was 29-26 after 12 minutes of play. Second quarter was just extremely scrappy on both ends. There was just both teams crashing the glass, both teams just scrapping for loose balls, and just some really great defensive possessions by the Pistons. And they were really able to give themselves a little bit of a lead. And Tobias Harris had such a great game. He's my MVP of the night, had 25 points, but was really just scoring in the post in the second quarter. And the Pistons started the surge late to give themselves an 8-point lead going into halftime. So they were up 59-51. Boston came out of the second quarter and going into the third quarter much more aggressive, looking to score, getting into the paint. Also did hit a couple of 3-pointers in that third quarter. And it was just a situation in a thing where I thought Boston was just kind of take over, but the Pistons did a very good job of scrapping back, fighting back. It wasn't a third quarter where I thought they were particularly great, but again, Boston didn't really have an answer for Jalen Duren, and I think a big reason why Jalen Duren had such a great game is he attacked the Celtics' weakness, in my opinion. If you look at the Celtics team, it's their front court. He attacked Luka Garza. Luka Garza got in foul trouble really early in this one, and he also attacked Keita. Both of those guys were in foul trouble for a majority of this game, and the Pistons were fortunate to only be down 2 going into the third quarter, 84-82 after 3 quarters of play. Ivy took a really hard fall in the fourth. JB got a tech. JB wanted them to review it. Baylor Shireman kind of like grabbed Ivy's arm and he went down pretty hard, which I thought was kind of a weak technical foul on the officials' part. Obviously, we didn't have a challenge, so they couldn't review it. But again, it was just really weird that they gave JB a tech. Usually plays like that where it's reckless, they kind of look to see if it was a flagrant, if it was a penalty 1 or a penalty 2. They didn't review it, which okay, I guess. Duncan Robinson hit some big 3-pointers, had a play where he was playing both ends of the floor, which don't really get to see too much of the Duncan Robinson, but when you do, you'll take it. Tobias Harris was just coming up clutch again, whether it was 3-pointers, putting the ball on the floor, hitting fadeaway jump shots. over Derek White. Love to see that. And the final possession, this game went down to the wire. It was a nail biter, you guys. I almost said Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brown got the ball. Tobias Harris is guarding him and played his best defense as you can. Clanks off the rim. Pistons win 104-103. And it's funny when you kind of look at the Vegas lines, and I was on FanDuel earlier before the game started, and the night before the odds were at 3.5. Then it got downgraded to 3, and then as you got closer to the game, it got down to 2.5. So I think Vegas knew that this game was going to be a nail biter too. It was going to go down to the wire, but hell of a game by the Pistons. Even though Cade Cunningham didn't have his best shooting performance, you're just kind of looking at this team's depth, and other guys step up. And the other guys tonight were Tobias Harris and Jalen Duren. And then you had really great bench production from Isaiah Stewart. But I want to get into the box score, and then we will open up the show, you guys, to comments and questions and any types of thoughts that you guys have with this game or the Detroit Pistons. Maybe it's trading deadline stuff. That's what these Q&A and these podcasts are for. But let's get into the box score for the Pistons. Very surprisingly, JB didn't use a huge rotation leash, as you guys can see. Usually we got 12, 13, sometimes 14 guys play, but Tobias Harris in 35 minutes had 25 points. He was 11 out of 20 from the field, 3 out of 8 from 3, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, 1 block. Duncan Robinson in 32 minutes had 15 points. He was 5 out of 13 from the field, 5 out of 11 from 3, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. Jalen Duren in 31 minutes had 18 points, 8 out of 12 from the field, 2 out of 5 from the free throw line, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. Cade Cunningham, 40 minutes played tonight, 16 points, 4 out of 17 from the field. Not a great shooting night by Cade Cunningham. 0 for 4 from 3, 8 out of 10 from the free throw line. So he was cashing in his free throws. 3 rebounds, 14 assists, which I think might kind of go under the radar with Cade. He had 14 assists and 0 turnovers. Like, beautiful, beautiful. We love to see that by Cade. He wasn't shooting the ball the best, but he was still looking to set up his teammates. And I think when I was watching the game tonight, obviously the shot wasn't falling, but he was still finding a way to impact the game and not kind of take the Pistons out of it. So you love to see that by your franchise player and your point guard. Sar Thompson in 28 minutes had 7 points, 3 out of 6 from the field, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals in this one, and 1 block shot. The Sar's just everywhere. I feel like he could have 2 blocks and 2 steals every game just for the type of defense and just the way the kid plays. Isaiah Stewart off the bench, 21 minutes, 8 points, 2 out of 5 from the field, 5 rebounds, and 1 huge block shot. I'm sure you guys saw that highlight reel block that he had against Skata. Ron Holland, 12 minutes, who was questionable with the illness, only played 12 minutes tonight, had 3 points, and he got to the free throw line, made 1 free throw, and was 1 for 4 from the field. Also had 4 rebounds, 1 assist. Javonte Green played 7 minutes. He had 3 points. He was 1 out of 2 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, 1 rebound. Karis LeVert had 17 minutes off the bench. He only scored 2 points, shot 1 out of 6 from the field, didn't even make a three-pointer, even though he did attempt 4 of them. Had 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, 1 steal. I do see Karis LeVert comments in the live chat. I'll get into those questions for you guys that are typing them right now. We'll get into the Karis LeVert conversation for sure. Jaden Ivey also had 17 minutes off the bench for them. He had 7 points, 2 out of 3 from the field, 2 out of 3 from 3, 1 for 2 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 turnovers, and 2 block shots. But I mean, it was kind of weird not to see JB play so many guys, and that was probably like the tightest rotation I've ever seen him play this season. It almost kind of felt like a playoff game in a sense, if you do ask me. If you look at the field goals, Boston only shot 40%, Pistons shot 43%. Boston shot 13 out of 41 from 3. Ever since we played them, in that one loss where they made 23s, I feel like they've done a very good job of addressing Boston's three-point shooters. They only shot 32% from 3 tonight. Pistons shot 11 out of 35 from 3, 31%, so there's that. Free throws, Pistons shot 74%, 17 out of 23, for their free throw attempts. They did get out-rebounded by Boston by 4, which you don't really see, too often. Pistons did have more assists, 24 assists. Boston only had 13 assists because they just kept giving the ball to Jaylen Brown and just trying to have him, generate looks for them. And I think the Pistons will take that all day, where they have a guy that they know that's trying to get his 30. And if he's not going to pass the ball, I think it's pretty easy to game plan for them. Pistons had 9 steals in this one, 9 blocks, only 8 turnovers, which you love to see against a team like the Boston Celtics. They had 14. And the Pistons definitely took care of that. Fast break points, they had 20 to the Celtics 3. Points in the paint, 48 to the Celtics 32. And just was just a complete great win by the Pistons. Like I couldn't be more proud of the Pistons in this one. But I do want to get into the comments and questions, because I do see you guys leaving some comments and questions with you guys. We're going just to take a quick break, and then after, take a sip of water, go through your guys' questions. We'll open up the show to just a chill rest of the podcast. So we will be right back, you guys. I probably have to change that profile picture of Troy Weaver with 2 phones. Gotta change it to Trajan Langdon. I mean, that just kind of shows you how long I've been doing podcast on this YouTube channel. But we're gonna get into the Q&A part of this podcast. If you're listening on the audio side, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. I have a profile avatar of Troy Weaver. It's like a meme I saw on Twitter. I thought it was hilarious during the rebuild, but we'll get into the Q&A. So Marquez gets the first comment of tonight's post-game show. It says, "This was a playoff atmosphere game. I'm of the belief that the Pistons will make a trade, but nothing big. What a mid-level trade do you see that can produce another quality shooter?" I agree with you in terms of this game felt like a playoff atmosphere game. Did not feel like a regular season game. Neither team wanted to give an inch in terms of possessions, rebounding. It was just a very physical game. To your second question with a mid-level trade, I think when we kind of look at this team, I think we can all agree that like the one like small crack is if we had more consistent three-point shooting, I think games wouldn't be as close as they are, right? I think there are opportunities in games, like if we hit an open three, instead of it being like a, let's say, 2-point game, you could swing it to a 5 or even an 8-point game. So I think what the Pistons will look for are three-point shooters, and possible playmakers. I'm not really sure about the playmakers. I kind of go back and forth with it every day. And it's just because of Karis LeVert, which we'll get into a little bit later. And I'll kind of explain why I've kind of gone back and forth with the playmaking um, thing in terms of trade deadline. But they do have the trade exception still, which is a $14.3 million exception that they can use in trades at this deadline where they can take that salary, but they would have to, move some pieces, waive some players. I would assume that they would just waive Isaac Jones since he's not played a single meaningful minute for the Detroit Pistons. He spent most of his time in the G League with the Crews. But I think what they'll look for is just more three-point shooters. I don't really know who's out there on the market. I've seen some names floated around, like a Kobe White. I've seen like Malik Monk kind of out there. I mean, I did my 29 trade targets. There was a couple under the radar guys that I really liked. I like Max Christie from Dallas. He could be a guy that you could like buy low on if Dallas kind of wants to sell that. I would look at some of the three-point shooters that the Milwaukee Bucks have. AJ Green, he's intriguing. Gary Trent Jr., he can get some buckets. I think there are a lot of decent three-point shooters that the Pistons could possibly target. But I think what they're going to probably do is just kind of see what everyone else is going to be doing at this trading deadline. I think a lot of people are wondering like what's going to happen with Giannis. Is he going to get moved? Is he not? What happens with John Morant? What happens with Michael Porter Jr.? Because I think you can get in situations where maybe it's a three or four team trade type of scenario. They did that last year when Jimmy Butler got dealt to the Golden State Warriors. If you guys remember, it was like a 5-6 team trade. And the Pistons were able to reroute Dennis Schroeder to Detroit and send like KJ Martin in the second, right? A second that they got from Philly for taking on KJ Martin. So I think those are the types of moves that Trajan is going to be looking for personally, just trying to add more perimeter shooting to this team. Cause like if you had like a Duncan Robinson, like plus I'll just use this guy as an example, like plus like a Tim Hardaway Jr., right? Like that would be great. Like having that type of three-point shooter off your bench. I don't think THJ would get dealt from Denver, but those are some of the types of like three-point shooters that I think that you could possibly target. I think there's a lot out there when you look at teams. There's a lot of guys that are shooting the ball particularly well. I know we kind of talked about like trade exception players. I talked about like Bobby Portis, who I'd absolutely love because he kind of fits into like, hey, we need a backup power forward. And now he's leading the NBA in 3-point percentage. So he kind of checks like two boxes that maybe the Pistons possibly want. But I appreciate the question as always, Marquez. I think the closer we get to the trading deadline, I think we're going to get more answers. February 5th, I believe, is the deadline day, and it's the 19th of January as we're recording this podcast. But appreciate the questions as always, you guys. Want to go to DJ Billy Bob. He says, great win for sure, taking 3 out of 4 from our nemesis. I have to ask, many others have, why is LeVert in there so much? His field goal percentage is awful. Why all of a sudden not play Danis? That's the $1,000,000 question that I'm not going to pretend that I have the answer to. I can give you guys my opinion into why I think he gets more playing time than Danis and Jaden Ivey. I think the reason why JB likes to lean on Karras, it probably not going to like this answer. He's a vet. He's familiar with them. Played with them in Cleveland. He's raved about how he's so versatile and reliable. Like that's all I really got. Like we haven't really gotten like a clear-cut answer like why LeVert plays so much. I mean, I feel like there are games where he shot the ball pretty well in like a couple of games, but more often than not, like it's really clunky out there. It almost feels like, and this is no shot at him, like his play style, I don't really think matches like what the Pistons like want to do. And like I can kind of explain what I mean by play style. Like when I watch him play and he's bringing the ball up the court and he's just dribbling and dribbling and dribbling and dribbling and like the shot clock is going down and like there could be Isaiah Stewart maybe has a mismatch underneath the rim or you have like a wide open Javante Green in the corner from three. Like more often than not, he'll look to just pound the rock for a good 12 to 15 seconds and it's an empty possession where he doesn't convert. And it's so weird. Like I'd much rather play Danish Jenkins in a backup point guard role because I feel like he's more of a natural facilitator. He's more of a natural like true point guard where he can set his teammates up and he can also we've seen Danish just absolutely tear it up from three. Like the Cavs game most recently when Karras wasn't available because he had knee inflammation. Like Danish was amazing. Like I'd love to see more Danish Jenkins. It could be a thing where like I don't know, maybe they're being a little bit more mindful with his two-way because he's getting close to that 50 games, which I think the Pistons are going to convert Danis anyways. I think that's 100% in play, but I really I can't give you guys like this like a clear, concrete answer why JB plays Karras, other than he's familiar with him and he's a veteran. A lot of times coaches will ride with veterans that they're familiar with. Like this isn't just a JB thing. Like we saw it with Dwayne Casey. He loved him some Corey Joseph. I'm sure you guys remember the Corey Joseph minutes. Like it was kind of like, man, really? Like you're gonna play Corey Joseph again? Coaches have their favorites, and I think that's all it is. It's just a favoritism thing right now. I'll be really surprised if he's still on this roster past the deadline. It's just been a really bad fit since the start. I much rather just run with Danis or Jaden Ivey out there if you're gonna have a backup point guard or a lead guard. I'd much rather actually give the ball to Danis and have Jaden Ivey play off ball or Marcus Sasser play off ball. And it would clear up so much more playing time for those three guards, even Kaz Lanier, you never really know. But yeah, man, really, really weird. I think it's the $1 million question that everyone has, DJ Billy Bob. But I appreciate your comment as always, and I know you're always in these post game podcasts, so I appreciate all the regulars that we have that come watch me. Really do appreciate it. I got over 100 people in here as well, so I appreciate that. If you guys could drop a like if you're not subscribed, subscribe. Hitting that like button does a lot for this YouTube channel, pushes out our content to more Detroit Pistons fans just like yourself. So if you could, that's the only thing I will really ask out of you guys. If you can, support the YouTube channel. But getting back into the post-game podcast with this Q&A, got to give it to Uncle Tobias for letting the world know about Ivy, even though he was putting those threes in as well. Yeah, I mean, Tobias was my MVP. It's funny going into the game. There were some people kind of like saying like, who should guard to Jaylen Brown tonight? And I looked from NBA University, and they had posted that Tobias Harris actually guards Jaylen Brown the best out of any player in the NBA. Like Jaylen Brown actually struggles when guarded by Tobias Harris. And Tobias does such a great job of stepping up at the most opportunistic times, it seems. Since he's come back from that hip injury, where he said he wasn't fully 100% when he came back from the ankle injury and then he injured his hip, he looks great out there. I know last season, the second half of the season, like kind of like post All-Star break, like around like this time, like January, February, he started to turn it on. Maybe it's just a thing where like his body is so conditioned to be playing in the NBA for so long that he doesn't really like start going until like the 40 game mark. But yeah, man, he looked great. Just banging down low in the post, hitting threes, just stepping up when the Pistons needed someone to step up. Like you gotta give it to him. And Jaden Ivey made the most out of his minutes. Only got 17 minutes tonight, but if he's just going to get 17 to 18 minutes, he's just got to make the most out of it. And I think he did. I know a lot of people were on his ass last game because of the body language, which such a weird thing. Like we got to stop like just investigating him under a microscope every time he doesn't like overly clap or like overly jump up and down when his teammates do something. Like if you listen to Jaden Ivey in any type of press conference, like he's very mellow and laid back. He's not overly excited by any means. I want to get into a couple more comments and questions with you guys. Wes Weaver has a comment about Duren. Duren has gotten much better when driving the ball. That's the one thing I think that he's really evolved this season is putting the ball on the floor and just creating his own. I think last year, a lot of us were saying, like, if Cade Cunningham doesn't generate something for Jalen Duren, like, what is he actually doing? And this year, he's still getting the lob throws and catches from his teammates, whether it's Cade, Asar, Tobias, but he's also evolving his game in terms of putting the ball on the floor, getting to the basket, getting easy layups. We've seen mid-range continuing to develop this season, which I love to see. I'd love to see him shoot a little bit more from 10 to 12 to 15 feet because I think it's definitely in his bag. But man, absolutely love to see it by Jalen Duren. He's just growing up in front of our eyes, and that's going to be an all-star too. All-star reserve, 100%. Too much national media attention for Cade now. No, I like it, D-Fizz. I know it's a question. He's going to be an all-star starter, first all-star starter since Allen Iverson, believe it or not. And like he was first in player votes from his peers, second in media, and fourth in fan votes. Like Cade Cunningham is definitely a player that a lot of fans are paying attention to. The media is paying attention to Cade Cunningham, and his peers are respecting of what a two-way superstar that he's turning into. I don't think it's too much attention for Cade Cunningham. I just think he's kind of going through that wrist contusion that he did have. I think that's why he did have a little bit of a slow start tonight in terms of shooting. But Jaylen Brown did do a good job of taking him on and defending him. You have to give him that credit. He is a good two-way forward in this league. I don't know if he's the best like he claims he is, but hey, man, that's for you guys to debate in the live chat in the comment section, man. It really is. Go Lions has a comment about Reggie Miller and Brian Scalabrine. I can't wait to read this one. It's hilarious. So it says, if the face of the Pacers, Reggie Miller, can tone it down with his bias when commentating Pacers games, Brian Scalabrine can tone it down too. Dude was insufferable. I kind of have a bone to pick with Peacock and NBC. These are supposed to be nationally televised games, like NBC Peacock games. Now, Boston has an NBC affiliate for their games. So Brian Scalabrine is a play-by-play color commentator for the Celtics on NBC Boston. So he was sitting on the Celtics bench. Surprise, surprise, right? And the way Peacock has these games is they have one analyst on the bench, which I think is actually kind of cool. It's different, it's unique. But yeah, like he's probably the biggest Celtics homer. Like that would be like if George Blaha was on a nationally televised NBC Peacock game and he was just hyping up the Pistons for 2 straight hours. You kind of have to tone it back a little bit. I do agree. He's kind of gets a little bit insufferable at times, but I'll just say there are a lot of other teams' announcers that are 10 times worse than Brian Scalabrine. I think of Stacey King with the Bulls. The Golden State Warriors play-by-play commentators are probably the worst in the NBA. But I mean, like, again, like he's supposed to be objective. That's a nationally televised game. It's not a Celtics game. Like if that was on NBC Boston, I mean, he can just let it leak out as much as he wants. But like that's a game where you're supposed to be objective and call it down the middle, and he wasn't. Which, hey, like Reggie Miller was talking about Cade Cunningham. I don't know if you guys caught it. If you're watching these MLK games tonight when the Knicks were playing, like Reggie Miller was talking about Cade and like how the Pistons have just like really turned it around. So shout out to Reggie Miller, shout out to all those guys that called all these MLK games today. He had basketball starting really early in the game, which I think the NBA does a really good job with that. I wish they would do it a little bit more, where you just have basketball games from like 2 to 10 o'clock at night. I think it's really cool. Um, Motor City Ben Diesel has a comment about Tobias Harris. He said, "There's no way we're trading Harris. Every time we play in the playoffs or a playoff type games, Harris steps up, and we really have to go through him to get us going sometimes." I mean, I think the value with Tobias Harris is crucial, right? It's so crucial just because, like, we know the type of veteran that he is. Like, I think that's the one thing when he came back is like we knew the professionalism that we're getting with Tobias Harris. We knew that he could hit threes at a pretty consistent or league average rate, but I think you're seeing like how crucial he is, and like I would 100% be open to bringing him back because he's on an expiring contract now. I don't know if I would give him a same similar type of contract that he signed, like the 2-year, 56 million, if he was willing to take a little bit of a discount and kind of like be the Pistons Al Horford in a sense where, he's just retired as a Piston. I would 100% be open to that idea. I think every time that he's been on the Pistons, his first time on the Pistons under Van Gundy and his second time under JB and Trajan, like he's been amazing. I think they're just a bit. There's been games where it's just like you'd like him to be a little bit more consistent, but nights like tonight, like it's so needed, especially in the Knicks playoff series. Like I felt like Tobias was actually pretty big in a couple of those games as well. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very difficult decision for the Pistons in terms of just like what are they going to do with him, in the long term. But I would be open to bringing him back. I don't know about you guys. Stop it! Don't remind me about Corey Joseph. Yeah, man. I mean, like I feel like sometimes like coaches just have their favorites. Like even like before Dwayne Casey, I remember Stan Van Gundy, one of his favorites. And like I love this player was Ish Smith. Like he relied on Ish Smith heavily, but Ish Smith was productive at least. Like you can't really say that about the other two. You really can't. Um, I never cursed in front of my son when Levert touches the ball. It's a challenge not to do so. I mean, I've seen people on Pistons Twitter say when Levert checks in, they take a bathroom break, which is honestly hilarious. Um, But I'm probably going to wrap this podcast up, you guys. I appreciate 100 of you in this post game show. We'll have post game shows for the rest of the week. Next game is against the New Orleans Pelicans. Should definitely be a very fun game there. Getting to see the Pelicans for the first time this season. Then you have the Rockets later in the week. That's going to be the Pistons' first Amazon Prime game, so that'll be an interesting game. Be maybe no Steven Adams. I know he rolled his ankle, so maybe that could be an advantage for the Pistons because the Rockets are a very big team. And then you end the week against the Sacramento Kings. But I appreciate you guys as always, man. I love doing these post game podcasts, staying up late, doing these podcasts 4 to 5 times a week. But hope you guys are staying warm because it's freezing out there, staying safe. And as always, go Pistons. Peace.